Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Follow Everton. Sorry about the delays with the start of the video. Just some technical difficulties, just obviously because I've been in the match. I've literally just walked through the door. I've still got my Everton coat on. It was a 1-1 draw at Goodison Park today. Not a vintage performance by any stretch of the imagination. I think even that it was it wasn't a great start from Everton, and it was pretty dire. And I think at the end of the day, we'll take the point. We're lucky to have got out of there with anything, really. Get the comments coming in. We're going to be on here for the next half an hour. I've got Dan joining me in a few moments. I'm going to bring him in. I thought Everton today weren't at the races at all. Started really poor. I think the team news, Calvert-Lewin being not injured doesn't help. I don't like these sort of bad team news things coming out before the game. I think it sets a negative atmosphere. The atmosphere, which was actually really quite flat, noticeable pre-kickoff and during the game. Very, very flat performance. But Everton didn't start well at all. Let's bring Dan in while I'm giving you my thoughts. Hi, Dan.
Oh, doing you right?
Didn't want to leave you in there while I'm just giving a quick summary of the game, and then I'll come to you. I'm assuming you saw enough of the match to give your opinion. But Everton didn't start well at all, and looked really slow, really sluggish. The crowd was very flat, and Leicester really kept the ball quite well, controlled the play, which was a theme throughout the game, and it didn't take them long really to score, did it, Dan? And it was very soft. Demarai Gray and Michaelenko have got to do a lot more to stop the ball coming in. And then where is the defending? I mean, I'm at the park end, so I'm the opposite side of the ground. But Dan, what did you think of the goal? It was poor. I believe Mina's come under a lot of criticism for his defending in that sort of opening phase.
Yeah, well, I come in just after the goal. I started watching it at 10 minutes in, so I missed the goal. So it was already 1-0 down before I come in. And the crazy thing is I actually thought Mina did all right, but I didn't see the goal. So I think that's why I was thinking earlier on, why is Mina getting so much stick? Because I didn't think he was that bad. But I take it the goal was something to do with him and Michaelenko, like you've just said.
It was, to be fair, it looked like a few of them could have stopped it. The Michaelenko could have got across. Demarai Gray, I think, is a weak link defensively. And then you've got 3 central midfielders in there. And one of them should be getting across, whether that's Iwobi or Alan, who I thought was really poor. Got to go and get across, stop the goal. And then you've still got opportunities. The goalkeeper can save it. You've still got the centre-backs. I think it's very, very bad defending. We made it easy for them to get that. And I think from then on in, Leicester really controlled the play. We didn't press, but when we did press down, the thing that annoyed me was that we were pressing kind of like as an individual or maybe as a group of 3, but we'd always allow Leicester an out ball. So it might be Gordon going and then someone else would react and go, oh shit, I need to go and press as well. Richarlison would go and press. But then you'd look at how deep our midfield was, particularly Delph and Alan, and how deep our defense was. And you're thinking, well, you're not compressing the pitch, so it's easy to play through. So it wasn't an effective press. It was very reactive. And that allowed Leicester to just keep the ball, keep it moving. And they didn't look amazingly threatening, Leicester. But they were fully in control, weren't they? And that first half, Everton didn't really offer an awful lot, but still created the 2 chances. Richarlison, I think he missed a glancing header. He got too much on it. And also the tap-in. I can't not talk about that, Danny. It's a glaring miss, isn't it? It's easier not to score. It's easier to score than to miss. Sorry.
Yeah, I think he was just having one of those days, wasn't he, where nothing was going for him and stuff like that. I don't think he's a striker. Even tonight, he's a winger he isn't a striker.
He scores a hat-trick for Brazil in that game. If he's playing with a Brazilian top on, I'm telling you, he scores. I think if you look at some of the body language, I'm not saying he's got a bad attitude at all. I think he works tremendously hard in general, but you look at him and you see some of the free kicks coming in and he just looks fed up and he looks annoyed. It's almost like he knows it's not going to be a good delivery. And I think that can play on a player's mind. I think when you're playing with better players, you can step up a little bit. And we've got to be careful that our better players don't sink sink to the level of some of the other players that aren't
I
aren't
think
up to the
that's
standard.
happening with quite a few at the minute, isn't it? Even Gordon, I don't think had it. Even he looked like he was a bit unsure on what to do today, because the problem is the players don't link up that well, do they? They don't know like how the goal's going to come, if you know what I mean.
It was almost like a bit of a language barrier. I mean, I don't think it's an excuse. I think you've got the Spanish-speaking players, Yerry Mina, Alan, and maybe perhaps isn't going to be able to speak the languages is Michaelenko. So I don't really see it as an excuse. I think the communication isn't great. The leadership wasn't great. The thing that annoyed me, and while we're talking about the first half, was there was no one really taking the game by the scruff of the neck. You look at Delph in there; he didn't turn on the ball. He'd drop in, but he'd pass it back. And there was a lack of leadership, a lack of willingness to actually try and make something happen, and that annoyed me. Can I ask you, that first 45 minutes, you think they were set up wrong? It didn't really work, did it? The 4-3-3 or the 4-5-1. It just allowed Leicester a lot of space. And something that I picked up on was that the wingers for Everton didn't know whether to go and match, to tuck in with the Leicester wingers, which weren't really wingers, they were inverted, or to go and out wide and press the fullbacks who were getting high and wide, because our defence, our fullbacks were very, very deep. Sorry, I don't really think that's a question, but it was just something I picked up on, and it didn't work really, did it? I mean, a lot of the Everton players didn't know who they were picking up and who, whether they were coming or going.
But the problem is, when we've played with one sitting defensive midfielder, we've lost badly. So I think Lampard, he's thinking now one defensive midfielder isn't enough, so he's playing the two, and when you play the two, you haven't got as many attacking options, have you, when you attack? And that's the problem today. It worked against United because they come at us more, but then when we need to get forward with two defensive midfielders, it didn't happen, did it? I don't think this team or formation is how Lampard wants to play. I think he's just doing what he's doing to keep us up.
I'm not sure, Dan, to be honest with you. I think he had a full plethora of options. You can argue Nathan Patterson would be a contender to start, but probably not ahead of Coleman when he's fit. And Calvert-Lewin, you'd imagine, would have started ahead of Damari Gray. But he had options. He had the Van der Beek, Andre Gomez, Dele Alli, and he had there's another midfielder, Decore. So he had options in midfield. There isn't an excuse today. I think it was a sluggish performance. The lads looked like they didn't care. They didn't look arsed. And I genuinely was getting very, very angry. I think it was aided by Leicester, who had really good game management. They knew they needed to keep the ball moving with tempo. And a ref who obviously, he was shocking. But what concerned me, Dan, was that the energy levels between Everton and Leicester were miles apart. Leicester had played 4 games in 11 days, and it looked like they were the home team, who were fresh. And we looked like the away team who were absolutely knackered. And in the first 45 minutes, where I thought, we'll come out the blocks, we'll go and press Leicester, we'll get them, we'll win the ball back high into the corners. It didn't happen, did it? It was neither a press, it was neither dropping off, and it was something of a non-event. And I think it felt like something we'd seen before, when really we were lucky probably to go in without... We were lucky to go in at 1-0 to have the opportunity to try and change things.
I think after a break, we never come back good. I've noticed that a lot with Everton. I know we've had that bad form quite a lot this season, but after a break, it doesn't do our players any good. It seems they come back unfit and relaxed. It's been a regular thing. I thought straight away after that Man United game, we didn't need a break. I would have loved for us to have had a game 3 days later, because I thought we was just starting to look good. And it always happens. People say the break's good, but it's not good for Everton, I don't think, personally. What was the atmosphere like? Because this really frustrates me, because when Richarlison scored, the stadium was rocking. But watching it on TV, I didn't hear the stadium rocking all game. We could have done with that earlier on.
It was bad, and I put it down to a few things. I think, obviously, being in the city with Liverpool, it doesn't help, them doing so well. I think people get a bit wound up by the whole thing. I'm not saying that's the main reason. It's one of a dozen factors. I think also, people finishing work, rushing to the game, that doesn't necessarily help. The negative team news with Calvert-Lewin being injured, I think people get a bit deflated, but really there wasn't an excuse for the flat atmosphere. I think it's a Goodison night match, and it felt quite relaxed. It was almost like we were expecting to win. We didn't need to get up for it in the same way. There was some initial jeering of the Leicester players, but after a minute or two, once we realised Leicester were just in total control of the ball, that stopped, and there was no singing. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm sat, in the ground, but there was nothing really to get me up for it as well, and I felt like the players were not really putting in 120%. I felt like it was really just Iwobi running around like a headless chicken, and then a few of the others totally not in the game.
The early goal was massive as well, wasn't it? That's the thing, that early goal.
Killed it. Absolutely killed it. And I strongly believe, and I said on Twitter, if we hadn't conceded so early and we'd have gone and then pressed, I think we would have won that game comfortably. We created the chances even without playing well. I think if we'd have just settled down and tried to go for it and played the Everton way, we would have been fine. There are some comments coming in. I will bring them in the right context. But this one from David. Hi, David. Make sure you subscribed. He says, agree with Dan. This is not the team Frank would want. He's right. And you are right, Dan. What I meant by that was it's probably the system he wants is 4-3-3 now.
Yeah.
But in the long term, I imagine, obviously, these aren't the players he wants for sure. And this probably isn't the system and the style he wants. But for now, in this moment, I think he's got the options there. This should be what he wants to do at this moment in time. This doesn't come across to me like a forced hand. He's got the centre-backs fit. He's got the midfielders fit. Yeah, he hasn't really got the options at full-back, but I think he's got the first choice available anyway at the moment. And he's got Richarlison, who's been in better form than Calvert-Lewin anyway. So we can't moan too much. Obviously, Townsend, Patterson is disappointing.
He wants to play with the three centre-backs, though, don't he? What do you think? He wants to play how we started with us. He wants to play with the three centre-backs, so the wing-backs getting forward massively.
I don't think we've got the full-backs for that. I think
that's what I'm saying, but that's what he wants to do. I do feel that's how he wants to play. And he can't because it doesn't work with us because, like you say, we haven't got... Maybe later on, like if in that Patterson coming back and Mykolenko, it can work in the future if he brings in the right players for it. But I do feel that's how he wants to play. He definitely doesn't want to play a 4-5-1 or however we play 4-2-3-1. He doesn't want to play that formation. Like you say, he had loads of players available, but I still don't think there was the players to do what he wants to do for Everton.
Maybe he does want to do that. Maybe he does want to do the 3-4-3. I don't know whether we've got the full-backs to do that. I don't think Mykolenko is a bombing on, crossing it, whipping it in full-back. I think he just looks like a steady Eddie sort of left back, which is a bit disappointing because as good as he was in terms of by his own standards, I suppose, today and against United, I'm not seeing anything spectacular from him.
He made some runs today, though, didn't he? He overlapped a couple of times, but Gray turned in and then ran into players.
You know what it is, Dan? I think we've just had standards set so high by Leighton Baines and Luca Dean over the years that we've come to expect your left back to be bombing on and whipping crosses in and link up play. But it's better, but I just think steady Eddie. I see the same with Seamus Coleman. I don't know whether they could play as high and wide wing backs. We'll see next season. I won't be surprised if he goes and signs a left back for sure, and tries to blood Patterson up because I think Coleman's got another year. But yeah, I think we'll see the five at the back against Liverpool. We'll come to that in a moment, Dan, if that's okay. Again, we'll do comments and we'll talk about the derby. But in the second half, it was more of the same, wasn't it, Dan? It didn't look like Everton had changed an awful lot at the break. And Lampard had seen enough and very quickly, in fairness, brought on Dele Alli for Alan. And Alan was poor, wasn't he? He was getting bypassed and overran in midfield. And what did you think of Dele Alli overall? Did you think he did anything change the game? Obviously, he was involved in the build-up to the goal with the cross, but there's nothing spectacular really from him. It's a shame. You know, I'm looking at someone, I'm thinking, what are you doing? What are you gonna make something happen? You got the lads in the park end screaming, do something you, and you know, you don't see an awful lot from him at the moment.
Yeah, he tried to get on the ball, like you say. He did try. He dropped back a little bit, got on the ball, moved it about, but he just doesn't fit in. You want to see the Dele Alli that was at top, that played for England, that was really good as well. You want to see him getting in the box, arriving late and scoring goals, but then he's playing kind of centre mid dropping back. Was that the right position for him? I'm not sure. He's kind of like a Richarlison, sort of wants to be in Richarlison's position but can't be there, doesn't he? He wants to play more attacking, but we're asking him to defend a little bit as well, but he can't defend, in my opinion.
A couple of things that annoyed me about it really is that we haven't seen Dele Alli and Calvert-Lewin, and I thought those two together were going to be a phenomenal link-up. I thought he'll play very close to for Calvert-Lewin, and then he'll have Richarlison off the left coming in, and it'll almost be like the three strikers with a supply coming from the right-hand side. Maybe a third midfielder, a Wobie. Someone providing a bit of service into those three, but none of them have played fit, and Damari Gray as well is completely tailed off. He's looking ineffective, a bit like a one-trick pony, wants to beat three people and do the same thing every time, which is a shame because I think he should be playing on the last man. He's very dynamic, good finisher. I'd have him running in behind. But we've changed everything, and I'm not sure there is a place for Dele Alli at the moment, but today was probably his best performance, so let's not be overly critical on that. I think it's clutching at straws really to say that it was his best performance. I didn't see an awful lot from any of them really. So he makes the change, and Richarlison misses another chance. He goes one-on-one, had to score. It's a weak finish, should bury it. And there was another opportunity, a free header from a corner. There was a couple of them. Mina heads over, Richarlison heads over. We had a lot of chances. We were vulnerable to the counter-attack for sure. Leicester had the pace and didn't have an awful lot of threat, I don't think. I think the game was there for the taking, but we just couldn't get to the races.
This is the thing though, Ryan. I've seen a lot of people say Mina had a bad game, but when we was playing with loads of players up and we only had 2-3 defenders back, I felt comfortable with Mina there. I still felt like
we didn't have a bad game. I don't know who said he had a bad game.
No, I thought he was all right. I like him there. I feel a lot safer, and I'm looking forward to him playing in the derby as well. I heard some people say before I come on this that he shouldn't have played. They should have played Keane, but I don't think Mina was bad. And I did see Mina when I was watching him on TV. He was saying to the players, like, we need to win this game. We need to come back in this game. And he was saying, like, get the crowd going. And he was pushing us forward. And he wanted us to get forward and get back into the game. And I like it because he has got that character you can see where he wasn't just going to settle with us losing. He knew that we could get something out of it, and we did. And I'm buzzing with a draw. I didn't say this earlier on, to be fair, because I thought we didn't play well and things didn't go our way. And normally when that happens, we don't get nothing out of it, but we actually got a draw, which we probably didn't even deserve. And that draw is massive for us. Yeah. It could be what keeps us up.
You're spot on, Dan. And Mina is unconventional, isn't he? He looks like he's going to trip over the ball. And the thing that I said to David, obviously my brother, I said, he's been out all season. He's played, 5 times? And he's come back in and he's witnessed this. He's coming back. He's gone from playing in a strong defence last season to coming into this. What must he be thinking? It's absolute chalk and cheese. Whether he can get himself, ready for the derby, I hope he'll be fit. I think Lampard will bring in Michael Keane as well, and Godfrey will play left-sided of a 3 centre-backs, and it'll be 5 at the back. We'll go more into that in a moment. You're right, it's a massive point, which we never saw coming, really. The chances we wasted, the heading over from the corner from Richarlison, the poor delivery from set pieces, you just felt like it was never coming. And I think probably 90 minutes, coming up to 90 minutes, there was an injury. A lot of fans had left. My dad and my girlfriend had both left. They'd seen enough and thought more fool them, but they'd seen enough.
I thought we was going to win it.
Yeah, I'll be the optimist. They'd gone. A lot of Evertonians had gone and thought this is petering out. Leicester are time wasting. And ironically, it's the 5 minutes of stoppage time that comes as a result of the time wasting from Kasper Schmeichel. Seamus Coleman has an opportunity, doesn't shoot. I don't know why he doesn't hit it. He takes a touch. The goal is gaping. You're thinking it's not our day.
Rondon, he thought about it, didn't he? He thought about it. He thought, just hit it. This is the moment. I could tell. I was like, hit it first time. Everything was just hit first time. Yeah, but he took a touch and then obviously gave the defenders time to block it. But he just thought about it.
That was a summary of the game, Dan, really, to be fair. That you thought about it. And Everton didn't do things instinctively. The pressing wasn't instinctive. The tackling wasn't there. They weren't getting stuck in. They were miles off Leicester. And even going forward, there wasn't the creativity. There wasn't the I can't remember what my point was, but it never looked like it was coming off. He had to make the changes. He brought Rondon on, and he made a nuisance of himself. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He made an absolute nuisance. That's what you wanted from Rondon, isn't it?
Yeah, I said on my Twitter, bring him on. I said 60th minute. I said get him on because we need a goal and we haven't even got a striker on the pitch. And even if you don't believe in the striker, I actually think Rondon's getting better. But even if you don't believe in him, having a striker on the pitch is going to make their defense a bit more on edge. And it's gonna. And I thought he was decent. He holded the ball up. He tried. He looks like he's a bit more interested than what he was when he first come to us. His fitness looks better. He flicked. He was involved in the goal. I don't know if it was intentional, but he was involved. He headed the ball back across goal on one and nearly got it on Dele Alli's head on another chance. And he's only been on a bit, so he's done more there than what anyone else has done just on his time coming on. You've got to play with a striker. I do feel I know a lot of stuff's been said about Calvert-Lewin, and I don't know the stories, but I do feel if he played this game, it was a game for him. He would have been better this game. It would have been more suited to him, and he would have had a good game because there was a lot of balls chucked in the box and stuff like that. And I feel like Calvert-Lewin, I did say before the game when I thought Calvert-Lewin was going to play, this would have been a good game for him. So I don't know what happened there.
I got no doubt he would have scored in this game.
Yeah,
there was a lot 100%. There was opportunities. We didn't play well at all. We were, as I say, we were well off it, and but we did create chances. And I felt like on another day we'd win it, even playing that badly, because Leicester looked vulnerable defensively, as good as they were on the ball and as neat and tidy through the midfield, through the transition, through the lines. I think we could have won. We could have got more from the game, but I think we set the tone for the performance by conceding so early and just turning up like an apathetic side that were exhausted and cruising for mid-table, when the reality was we should have been scrapping for everything.
But the thing is, Ryan, do you know sometimes when you try to do this perfect goal, pass it around in your midfield, look for a nice opening, you don't need to do that sometimes. Just put Rondon on, put him on Evans, and just loft the ball up to him and just make it hard for them, and then make those defenders defend, and then make them do their job. Otherwise, they just get away with it easy. We just pass the ball, and they don't have to do anything all game.
And it was easy.
Like when we started lofting it forward, doing simple things like straight balls and stuff like that, they struggled, and they looked like they started struggling to clear it, made mistakes, and then I actually felt like we could score then, and obviously we did. It was scrappy goals, but that's what happens sometimes when you put the ball up there.
When we did exactly that, and when we did actually press and get them in the corner and go collectively, which wasn't often, Leicester would generally lose the ball then because we'd pressed properly. It was when we pressed as individuals reactively and left spaces for them to play through us that it didn't work. When we actually did it, it worked. When we actually played a little bit of football, kept it on the deck, moved it across, Leicester looked vulnerable. You're right, we could have scored goals and we could have made them turn back towards their own goal with a little bit more direct play, because I don't think Leicester are the strongest in the air in terms of their centre-backs. They're not beasts. They're probably the type of centre-back Michael Calvert-Lewin would relish actually playing against. But look, it is what it is. We got the goal. Dele Alli, Seamus Coleman obviously should have scored, but didn't. And then a little bit later, Dele Alli is working hard in the corner, gets a low cross in. Wasn't a lot on it. Rondon, I don't know whether he misses it deliberately or dummies it, and then Richarlison scuffs it against the defender. I think it's Amati. And then I didn't jump up because I just thought this has got a VAR written all over it. Everyone else is wildly celebrating around me, and I'm thinking, thank for that, to be honest. And you take a point, and every point helps. You just got to match what Burnley do. I think it's us or Burnley. I think Newcastle flying. Leeds will be okay. Brentford flying. These teams have just turned it on. I think the levels are different. I think we've got problems. I think our attitude isn't great. I think our mentality isn't great. But I look at this and think we've got to beat Palace at home like Newcastle did today. We've got to beat Brentford. And then if we can get a couple of points, if we can beat Watford as well, I think we'll be absolutely fine. Because I don't see Burnley winning 5 matches out of the 8 or 7 they've got left. So I think if we can get 3 or 4 wins, we'll be okay.
That's why I'm positive, Ryan, because when they drew, I thought, they've gained a point on us, they've got closer now. But then we've just drawn, so we're taking that away again now. So if we do what they do and match it, then we're all right.
I think they had a harder fixture, although the London Stadium doesn't look like the most intimidating place to play, and we should have got a point there as well. So you're not vintage, not great today, but we'll take the point. It's massive for us, Dan, and it feels like a bit of a relief because I honestly thought we were heading for a very dour 1-0 loss, squandering chances, and a referee who couldn't tell his arm from his elbow, giving corners that shouldn't be, letting things go. And Dewsbury Hall, who looks like a real talented player, falling on the floor at every opportunity with the slightest touch, and the referee being very easily influenced by everything. Not good. Let's go to the comments, Dan, if that's okay. Not an awful lot tonight because obviously we're delayed with the stream, but if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. We are on over 1,000 subscribers now, so we're with the big boys.
We're getting
there. This is Brian. He says, we need to do better if we want to stay up. A very big lucky point. At the same time, Brian, although we didn't play well, we had the better chances, arguably. Well, maybe not, but we were in it. We had chances. We could have scored. But we do need to do an awful lot better, certainly in the...
I just broke my house.
Mark saying we needed to win. We'll have tougher teams. Then that's a fate. We've got to go away to Leicester. And I'd take a point right now away at Leicester.
Mark, don't worry. We're going to win the derby, so don't worry. We're going to win the derby, so we'll be all right. That's the next one. I'm ready for it.
Eugene saying, I think Richarlison saved Everton tonight from a defeat and got a 1-1 draw. I mean, that's exactly what happened. Ref and linesman were very poor. Yeah, we touched on that. David saying it was a miss of the season. Yeah, David and me were gasping at the fact Richarlison missed that. It was definitely the miss of the season. How's he missed that? Was it just come at him awkward, or wasn't he anticipating it? It was sort of like high, mid up, but if you're just anticipating that, direct it goalwards, it's it.
I think he was only going to score a goal today if he scuffed it, and that's what happened. He was in that sort of form today where he was only going to score if he scuffed it. If he struck that goal that we got at the end, if he struck it perfect, it wouldn't have gone in. It was that sort of day for him, wasn't it? Normally he's good at heading the ball as well, isn't he? In his headers,
blazing over.
Yeah, he's just one of those. Sometimes it goes like that in football, doesn't it? You have one of those days where you just can't hit a barn door, and I think that was Richarlison's day. Like I said to you, I don't think he's a striker, but he can definitely score better than what he did tonight. So it just wasn't his night, was it? But
should be getting 10 goals a season from any position he plays in, whether that's on the wing or front minimum. He's got the ability. He should be doing it. And same with Calvert-Lewin. I say the same with Gray. I say the same with Gordon, Townsend. We need more goals. You don't see where the goals are coming from. There's not enough goals from anywhere in the pitch. Full-backs don't score. The centre-backs don't get enough. The midfield doesn't score enough.
Why do you think, Ryan, though? Why do you think that they're not linking up whatsoever?
No one's prepared to take any risks.
Yeah, but they don't pass and move. It just seems like one player does something and then passes it when he's in trouble. That's what it seems like I see all the time. They'll keep doing something until they can't do it anymore and then pass it or mess it up or lose the ball. Why don't they just use each other to get forward? Why don't they play as a team? You don't see it. Like, do you know where we used to see like Pinar, Moreles, and all the old boys, Baines, are getting forward, and they all knew each other's game, and they would all use each other. Yeah, they were so good together, and we don't see that anymore. You just look like you're watching a bunch of individuals trying to win the game by themselves.
Well, I have said it, and it is really harsh, probably, but they're thick. They are genuinely thick. I don't think they have a clue what they're doing a lot of the time. I think a lot of decision-making is brainless. And little things, where Pickford will boot it up to someone who's not even looking at where the ball's going and not even up the pitch. And just things you just think that are stupid. Delph not willing to turn. Players not willing to take any risk and use their footballing brain. Reading situations. Bombing on and just exploiting things tactically, where maybe a team like Leicester have left a lot of space in behind their fullbacks who've bombed high and wide, and we haven't been able to play. We've stopped doing diagonal balls and all this sort of stuff. But I just think there's a lack of chemistry, obviously, because they've been bought for different systems by different managers. But ultimately, I think there is an attitude problem generally. There is a real lack of focus. There's a negative energy between them. And that's why we are where we are, and a lack of quality. And I think a lot of them are completely brain dead. I don't know, it's said on a lot of the Everton channels. They all say the same thing. The players are I've got
No,
peanut
like
brains.
you just said though, just a minute ago, and what you were saying, they haven't got football brains, have they? I think that's the thing. They haven't got that clever football brain where they know what to do and how to win games and stuff like that. They just do simple stuff.
I can't remember the last time we had players who come in who were really intelligent. Maybe
No,
Gareth Barry, Baines.
I thought Arteta was a clever player as well. He knew how to move the ball about and like what to do on the ball.
I'm going to go to a comment from Johnny saying slightly disappointing as could have pushed the win hard. A huge result. Yeah, it took an equaliser for us to get going, didn't it? Of course. Got a cushion. It's the same cushion we've had. We've just got to match what Burnley do. Because our running is very difficult. Yeah, I don't see us getting anything in the Arsenal away game. I think we'll be lucky to get a point. Liverpool will be lucky to get anything. It's lucky to score a goal. I think Chelsea are beatable at home at the moment. I think Palace are arguably beatable. Watford away beatable. Brentford beatable. So I think they're the 4 fixtures where you've just got to try and pick up 9 to 10 points minimum and see if you can scrump something in the other games.
What was the Palace score today, Ryan, in the end? I knew there was Newcastle's winning 1-0. 1-0.
They lost 1-0, yeah.
Yeah.
Newcastle beat Leicester as well. I mean, setting the benchmark, Newcastle, they haven't got the quality, but the commitment's there. The effort's there. Leeds have got 2 difficult fixtures, apparently, so maybe they'll get sucked in if they lose that. Obviously, we need Man City to do it. I mean, I just can't wait for the season to end, Dan.
I was really frustrated today with some of the links on Twitter that the players that there was linking us to. That Wolves player, Barcelona player, whatever his name is, the
Traore.
Yeah, not good.
No,
it's not going to move us forward. It's like signing Wilcott and Lennon and stuff like that. It's just not good. It doesn't make me feel positive. Don't tell me that we're going to sign like reject players. I can't be bothered with that. I want young talent. I was watching players in the Championship over this break, and there was absolutely unbelievable. There's some cracking young players in the Championship that stand out in our team. I watched that chair for QPR. He's unreal on the ball. He's centre midfield as well. Exactly what we're shouting out for. Forest have got players. QPR have got players. We need to get on these young players that are up and coming and take a risk, because if they do work for us, then we're on to a gem. I don't want these players that Wolves rejects or other teams rejects, because obviously they probably look at Dele Alli. For me, he's not working for me now.
No,
he's flopping a little bit.
You've got to be realistic here and say that we're probably signing the right player. We're probably signing players too late. We're probably looking at the right players. Same with Luis Diaz, but we're looking at them when they're already developed and already at such a level where they can move to a club that's doing better than us, or they're too expensive. So you've got to be getting these players. You're right. If it's Championship, that's fine, but picking up the gems. And I really hope that the new director of football has identified this, that we need to sign the players earlier, possibly in their development, and develop them here rather than wait till they're just completely unattainable.
He was at the game, wasn't he? It did show him on camera, the new sporting director and stuff. I'm hoping he's not just. He was sitting next to one of the football, I think Sharp or something like that. He's sitting next to him, and I just hope he isn't like I hope he's a sporting director that comes in and makes changes. I don't want him to just go along with what's happening and not have a say in things. I want him to be quite demanding and say, I want change. I don't want it to be a quiet character.
Well, he's got rid of Unzi, hasn't he? Pushed before he was shoved.
Yeah, that's what you want, though. We need change. You can't just stick with what's happening, otherwise we'll be in a mess.
That's how I feel about it anyway. I think Unsworth was pushed before he was shoved. Championship, and don't think if we do go down, that teams won't come to Goodison and have the game of their life, because it'll be their big day out, won't it? Will be an absolute mockery. The first season in the Championship, I'm sure. There's no chemistry because the squad has fingerprints of several managers, all with different styles. But that's where it comes from, a director of football, Nick. Someone should install the philosophy of Everton, and they've completely missed the mark. There's a lot of players we sign don't play the Everton way, which is an aggressive, intense style of football, full of crosses, full of dynamism, with a typical traditional number 9. And I think we've missed the point, really, over the years, and sacrificed ourselves for... I can hear my cat crying. Sacrificed ourselves to appease managers.
Doesn't feel like, you know, to what he's just said there, though, it doesn't feel like the players like click. Like, it feels like they don't get on, if you know what I mean. Like, I honestly don't think Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison get on. I think they both want to snatch each other's goals, and they're in competition with each other, not
So
working as like
just
a
think
team.
they're a bad bunch of bellends. I mean, you can see it with
That's what I honestly think. I don't think they get on. Like, do you know where they're all in it as a team, and they think, right, we'll work together and we'll win games for Everton. It feels like they all just want to be the standout player, the player that's the man of
problem
the
is
match or the good player.
they've come here to try and get Champions League, to try and get into Europe, and they were nowhere near it. And then how do you mentally reposition your brain and your attitude to be like, we're in a relegation scrap? Because the heart's not in it. They're going to be off. Anyway, my battery's going to die on this laptop anyway, and I don't have the charger anywhere here. So I'm going to wrap things up very quickly. Thanks for everyone watching. Just on the derby, you think it'll go to 5 at the back and obviously just try and shut up shop as best as possible, disrupt the game? And
there is a big chance he'll go to a 5 because that worked with Carlo, didn't it? But I do think, in my head, I would personally move Godfrey right back and play Keane and Mina together centre back. The reason I put Godfrey right back is because I feel he could take Diaz out the game if he goes tight to him, put some tackles in on him and stuff like that. I think it might be a good option to play Godfrey right back as centre back. He might be wasted. I don't know what he'll do. I just think we'll have a chance. Looking at Liverpool, I don't think we're a team that they'd like to play because we're going to get stuck in. And that's what we've got to make sure we do, is get some tackles in and ruin the game and not let them play the football that they want to play. I definitely think we'll challenge them better than what Man United did.
The problem I have, and I think a lot of fans are in agreement that this is a non-event, but Liverpool, if you leave space in behind, they'll exploit it. They're quick, they're dynamic, they've got pace, they're very fast in transition. If you play too deep, they'll play around you. They'll find a way to penetrate. I think playing deep, inevitably they will score. It will find it difficult to get out. But I think that we restrict the space in behind us, we'll have a better chance. But then it's the problem: how do we get out? How do we play when we have it?
The good thing is it's going to be counter-attack football, and we're sometimes quite good at that. If we just sit back and then, do you know, with our players, if they get time to think what to do, they get it wrong. If we're counter-attacking and we haven't got no time to think and we can only do what we've got to do, then we're probably better.
He's going to play. He's going to go and try and battle and hope we can win some free kicks.
We're going to win it though. I'm going to sell my car and put it on us to win. I think the odds will probably be about 20-1 for us to win, won't they?
No, you get more than that, mate. You get 50-1 easy on that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I think it'll be the longest odds of a derby win for Everton ever. But
I think the big thing is, though, we've just got to make sure. Like I say, I hope we win. I always do in the derby, and I'll be up for it. I just hope we give them a good game and stuff, and it's a good game. But we've got to make sure we don't get battered. We don't want it to be like 10-0 or something like that.
We horrible, mate.
Yeah, we've got to make sure that don't happen. So we just got to keep it tight. But at least we got a point tonight, and
yeah.
That draw that Burnley got, we've took it away from them now. You know what I mean, it wasn't so good for them now because we just took it away.
Look, I'm gutted we didn't get the 3 points tonight. I think it would have been 6-point cushion, but it is what it is. We'll take the point. We were crap. Nearly scored a few times, but we were crap. Outplayed.
That's where you can brag there, can't you? You can say to Leicester, we was crap and you didn't beat us. There you go. It's good, isn't it?
And I'd take anything on Sunday.
Yeah.
I'd take absolutely anything. I do expect 5 at the back. I expect shut-up shot, fake injuries, time wasting for everything, long ball, Rondon and Richarlison up top, 5 at the back, and just.
If we do beat them, that's massive on their league challenge, isn't it?
Dan, would you take a 5-0 loss, but leg breaks for Salah and Mane?
No, I'd prefer it on Robertson and Henderson, to be fair. They're my two Ed Butt players there. I can't stand them, mate. Proper dirty faces. Henderson and Robertson. Robertson's... To be fair, the whole team. I started to... Yeah. When I seen Salah and in that press conference, like slate Everton and stuff like that, saying it's going to be an easier game, and I thought, you know what?
He's arrogant, isn't he?
Yeah, I want Godfrey on him.
He's disgusting, him, Salah. I can't stand him. But really, their preparation, Liverpool's preparation is unbelievable. The way they prepare for the games, no one's ever injured. If they don't play well, they find a way. The ref will give them something. They'll make their own luck. They'll get something. You saw it in the League Cup final. The keeper blazes it over the penalty. You saw it the Man City FA Cup game the other day, where the keeper kicks it against Mane and it goes in. these are the things that only really happen to Liverpool. So they'll find a scrumpy way, even if they don't turn up.
I think Mina's
We're
massive.
just going to make it horrible.
Mina's massive that game. I do think he'll thrive on the challenge. Mina likes the big games against the so-called superstars. You know what I mean? He likes playing these games, and I think Van Dijk is a bugger in the air, and Mina's quite good in the air. So if Mina's on it that game, he'll be massive for us. I think he'll help us big time.
5 at the back, Michael Keane back in and Rondon to start. That's what I think. Anyway, we might do a preview for it if we can muster the courage to do. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers, Dan. Much appreciated for coming on. Make sure you like the video wherever you're watching and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks.
See you later.